Welcome to today's Explainer. I am absolutely pumped you're here because we are unpacking something huge for the legal profession. How do Canadian lawyers safely navigate this absolute avalanche of AI tools in 2026? Look, for Canada's 136,000 practicing lawyers, there is just so much noise out there right now. You hear claims that AI is going to totally replace you, or on the flip side, that it's just a massive malpractice suit waiting to happen. Well, today, we're cutting through all of that. We're going to build a highly structured, incredibly clear roadmap showing you exactly where the real work sits, how to adopt these tools efficiently, and how to protect your practice while you grow it.
Now, before we really get rolling, let's get our mandatory legal boundaries out of the way. We do not provide legal services. Olanur is strictly an AI lawyer matching platform only. If you're actually a client looking for help right now, I want to invite you to visit olanur.com to find a lawyer for your special case in literally minutes. Okay, with that boundary perfectly clear, let's break this whole thing down.
Here is our roadmap for today. We're looking at the AI adoption reality, the task upside versus human oversight, a cautionary AI tale, your unchanging rules, and finally, growth through client matching. Okay, let's dive into this.
Section 1. The AI adoption reality. Mainstream, not fringe.
You know, for a solo or small firm in 2026, just using AI, that's not a competitive edge anymore. Look at this massive 79% slice from the 2025 Clio Legal Trends report. Nearly 4 in 5 legal pros are using AI right now. Just 2 years prior, that was sitting down at 19%. Crazy, right? So the real question isn't whether you should use it, it's how you use it safely and effectively. It's all about putting it in the places where it actually pays off and keeping it far, far away from the places where it could, quite frankly, end your career.
To pull that off, we really need to understand that not all AI is created equal. It basically breaks down into 3 distinct layers. First up, assistive automation. This is your low-risk stuff. Scheduling, form filling, routing inquiries. It just moves information around without generating any actual legal content. Honestly, many of you are probably already using this and not even calling it AI. Second, we have generative AI. These are the large language models that produce new text, like drafting letters or memos. This tier gives you those massive headline-worthy time savings, but it carries headline risks too because a model that writes beautifully can also lie beautifully. Finally, agentic AI. This chains several steps together and takes actions on your behalf. Huge supervision risk there. Oh, and a quick side note, legal-specific tools trained on legal materials are generally way safer than your standard public consumer chatbots. But remember, safer definitely does not mean completely safe.
Moving on to Section 2. Task upside versus human oversight. The traffic light. We're going to use a super simple traffic light model here to cleanly separate where AI earns its keep versus where it can absolutely ruin a career. Let's look at the extremes. Green light side. Intake and triage. This is the safest place to start. It captures the matter type, the jurisdiction, and urgency, and routes the inquiry without giving a single drop of legal advice. It just moves info. Huge time saver, incredibly low risk. In total contrast, over in the red light zone, we have legal research. This is the danger zone. It is literally the highest stakes use of AI because these tools will confidently invent facts and cases out of thin air. It requires maximum human oversight. Every single citation has to be read in the original before it ever gets near a client or a courtroom.
And sitting right in the middle, the yellow light zone, drafting. This is where the hours really start coming back to you, but you've got to tread carefully. Picture a solo immigration lawyer in Ottawa typing up the exact same client update letter a dozen times a week. AI turns that 20-minute chore into a quick 5-minute edit. Or take a Hamilton real estate lawyer tossing a massive purchase agreement into an AI to flag unusual clauses. Boom, an hour of reading saved. But here is the catch, and it's absolutely crucial, you must verify. A confident AI summary can quietly just drop a vital term, like an odd holdback clause. You have to treat the AI like a highly capable junior. It gives you a great structure, but it has absolutely zero independent authority.
Which brings us to Section 3, a cautionary AI tale, the red zone.
If you're wondering why I'm pushing verification so hard, look at this staggering number, 17 to 33%. A 2024 Stanford study looked at paid, purpose-built legal AI tools. We're not talking free consumer chatbots here. We're talking legal-grade products from major vendors, and they found these tools hallucinate or misdescribe authorities up to a third of the time. Yes, they will literally make up a case that simply does not exist. That is a truly terrifying stat when your professional reputation is on the line.
And this brilliantly illustrates the real-world consequences of those hallucinations. Take the 2024 case, Zhang v. Chen. A British Columbia lawyer filed a family law application citing 2 cases generated by ChatGPT. Well, opposing counsel couldn't find them because they weren't real. The lawyer hadn't checked. Now, the judge accepted there was no intent to deceive, but still held that lawyer personally liable for the extra costs the other side racked up trying to track down those fake citations. Let that sink in. Personally liable. The Law Society of BC even had to get involved. The lesson here? AI is totally fine for finding a lead, for sure, but you are exactly one hallucination away from a career disaster if you don't verify every single original source in a database like CanLie.
All right, Section 4. Unchanging rules, new tools.
Now, I know all this hallucination talk sounds incredibly scary, but here's the good news. You do not need to memorize a completely new rulebook to stay safe. Your existing professional duties handle these workflows perfectly. Let's break this down based on the Law Society of Ontario's 2024 guidance. First, competence. Under Rule 3.1-2, you just need to understand the benefits and risks of the tech you're using. Second, confidentiality. This is the one most easily broken by accident. Under Rule 3.3 and Canada's privacy laws like PIPEDA, you absolutely cannot paste privileged client strategy notes into a public consumer chatbot. Sensitive data stays completely out of public tools. Third, verification. Like we just saw, a human, not the AI, has to confirm every single output before you rely on it. And finally, honest billing. Even if AI vastly speeds up your work, you only charge for the time you actually spent, not the time it used to take.
Since we don't have one giant national AI rulebook in Canada, we've got to look at how the different provinces handle it. Look at the variation in court disclosure right here. In Ontario, you follow specific court directions. BC and Alberta, they recommend you disclose AI use, but they don't strictly mandate it. But then you look at the federal court, and they absolutely require a declaration when AI has generated content in a litigation document. Courts in Manitoba, Yukon, and Nova Scotia also require disclosure. Bottom line, always double-check your local regulator and the specific court's practice direction before you hit file.
At our final piece, Section 5. Growth through client matching.
So we've talked a lot about risk mitigation. Now let's flip the script and talk about empowering your practice with growth tools. If practice tools are saving you hours, client matching AI is what actually fills the calendar those hours belong to. Tools like Olanur live happily over in our safe green zone. They operate right at the top of the funnel. A prospective client goes through a structured intake flow, putting in their issue and location. Then, the AI matching system routes that request specifically to lawyers whose practice areas and jurisdiction are a perfect fit. Because that inquiry hits your desk already framed, pre-qualified, and scoped out, your very first conversation with them starts halfway home. No more burning time on dead-end first calls.
Which leaves us with this final, incredibly exciting question to consider. If AI just gave you back 5 hours this week on routine drafting and intake, how are you going to fill them? You see, the realistic view of AI in 2026 isn't about hype, and it's definitely not about panic. It's just about being smart. Start where the risk is lowest, lock down your client data, verify literally everything, and then use matching platforms to fill your newly freed up calendar with scoped, high-intent clients. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. I really hope this structured look gives you the clarity you need to absolutely thrive as a legal professional today. Until next time, stay focused and keep learning.